Good evening, everyone. My name is Dipali Kulshrestha, and on behalf of AWS User Group Delhi NCR, I welcome you all in today's session on cloud cost optimization for AWS. This session will be delivered by Yogesh Sharma. Yogesh is an AWS cloud architect and working with TCS. He is cloud and data enthusiast, passionate about building well-architected cloud-native solutions on AWS. He is also an AWS community builder and have evangelized AWS concepts via LinkedIn blogs, meetups, conferences, and AWS events across the globe. For later references, this session recording will be available at our YouTube channel, AWS User Group NCR. And if you get any queries during this session, please post them in comment section. Yogesh will address them during the Q&A slot. We also have a mini quiz planned today towards the end of the session, and winner will get the chance to win AWS credits. So please be focused and keep learning and keep growing. Over to you, Yogesh.
Thanks, Diwali. Thanks for the brief introduction. Hi, all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on the region you are joining. Am I audible, Dipali? Am I visible?
Yes, Yogesh, you are.
Okay, so let me quickly introduce myself again, though Dipali has already introduced, but let me quickly introduce. Yeah. Okay, I'm Yogesh Sharma. I'm working as a cloud architect at Tata Consultancy Services. So I have over of 10 plus years of experience in IT industry, and since last 5 years, around 5 years, I'm working in cloud, DevOps, ML area. So I have worked in different roles, like started with the cloud engineer, cloud senior engineer, now working as a cloud solution architect. And as Dipali mentioned, I am a cloud AWS community builder. So this was a new program that AWS launched last year. And just like I think in the March they basically accepted the application for second batch. So I hope most of you guys we have basically applied over the community builder application. If not, maybe the next year you can work towards that. You can check out the community builder website. You can work towards that and you can apply next year. Okay, so moving on with respect to the certification, I have the 3 AWS cloud certification. Two of them would be the associate one is the AWS solution architect professional. I'm also a technical speaker, blogger associated with various user groups like Delhi NCR, User India, Sydney, San Francisco, and a couple of days more. And I also run my own personal blog, multicloudwarrior.com, and also I'm pretty active on the LinkedIn and also on the dev.to blog. Okay, so moving ahead with the agenda of our session. So we'll see about the cloud cost optimization, particularly in terms of the AWS, like why the cloud cost optimization is needed, what are all the technical pillars associated with it, how we can prevent the extra unnecessary cost, what are the different tools and measures that we can apply, what are all the checklists that we can enforce, and a kind of best practices, not the whole list, but yeah, I mean what I feel can be like the basic one that can be applied if someone is quite at the beginner level of AWS, or if someone is quite pro, they must be aware of. And in the end, we will focus about the latest trends around the cost optimization process that AWS has introduced and what other industries following. And at the end, as Dipali mentioned, we are going to have a small quiz. So let's get started. Okay, so as we know, like we all love cloud, we all love its fancy services, all the managed services, all the new architecture pattern or new architecture practices that clouds that comes with the cloud, be it the serverless, be it the container, be it when we talk about the high availability, resilience, durability, availability, and the disaster recovery. So AWS is basically for all the builders out there, for all the architects, for all the solution architects. So we can build our solution if we are coming from a data warehousing solution we can use, like various data warehousing services provided by the AWS. If we are coming from a native application builder, we can use the serverless, we can use the virtual machines. I mean, there are like tons of options that AWS provides, and every year, in the reinvent, they basically comes up with the new 50 odd services. So I mean, it's up to us. It's up to us builders. What was the best possible combination we can choose, and accordingly we can build the best innovative solutions on that. So we love to build. We love to use the AWS services. We love to run our application, our program, uh, our data warehousing solution on AWS, and we love to optimize that, because running is one thing, optimizing it one thing. And when I say optimize it, in terms of performance, high availability, disaster recovery, and also in terms of cost, because there is a huge I would say huge focus when we talk in terms of the cost optimization in terms of cloud. Because when we say, like, at the traditional programming or traditional layout of the IT industry, where we need to procure the hardware, we need to do all the racking, stacking stuff to basically start something. And so there is a whole lot of upfront cost involved in that. But when after coming with the cloud concepts, we can use, various services, and we can pay how on the basis of whatever we are using. You can understand a basic analogy of the electricity. Like, we are going the AWS is going to charge us on the basis of our usage. So that's fine. Like, we love cloud, we love to build solution, but are we fully aware of the cloud financial? Are we spending too much, or are we spending exactly what is our need? Or are we basically uses unnecessary service, and are we spending unnecessary cost around that? That is what, our session is based on. So as I mentioned, AWS is what pay for what you use. Okay, but how would we ensure, like, how much that what we are paying is actually we need it? So suppose, okay, if I am going to build one application, and that is a very small application, it's not a very long running application, it will just like do one process and exits. But for that, am I using a whole virtual machine that will run the 24/7, or can I opt any other architecture principle, or I can use any other managed services like the serverless Lambda, right? Because if it is a very small services just doing one process and exits, I can use that. I don't need a full virtual machine for that. I can save my cost regarding the virtual machine as per the compute instance type. Also, there would be a cost saved in terms of EBS, and there are various other parameters around that. But because billing formula looks very simple, it's like usage multiplied by the whatever the rate of that service. In terms of Lambda, it's the per call on the basis of how much memory we are using, and also how much milliseconds that particular call has consumed. But when we talk about in terms of virtual machine, it would be it would differ on the basis of instance type, EBS, and other kind of parameters. So why nowadays, why we are mainly focusing on the cloud cost? Because at the time of when it was launched, they were telling, okay, this is like you will just pay for what you use. But how and why nowadays we can see, various job roles also regarding the cloud cost, like the cloud financial advisor, or it mainly focuses about how you can define your whole architecture on the principle of cost optimization. Because if you see the trends, be it the Gartner trends or be it the various other trends, you can find the cloud cost optimization is right on the top. So if we focus on the Gartner top trends of the cloud, you can see the topmost trends for the 2020 and I think for the 2021 also is the cost optimization that will drive the cloud adoption. So that is the topmost trends running on the Gartner. So as we know, like Gartner basically showcase various trends, just like they have also showcased like AWS is the cloud leader in the whole industry. So in the similar way, they have also come up with the top trends of the cloud, and the cloud cost optimization is the top first, and the second one would be there is still like insufficient cloud IA skills that might delay migration of various industry onto cloud. Though we are in the phase, we can see like various industries are moving onto the cloud, be it the pharma industry, be it the retail industry, gaming industry, like Dream 11 is a great example for that, or the live streaming industry, like the Netflix is totally on the AWS. But still, like there are various other industries that started moving on to cloud, but it's only a like very small piece who is just like playing with the cloud, experimenting with the cloud, but they have still like have the fear to move on to the cloud, though they eventually they will move, but still they have like slight fear that might be related with the cloud cost optimization, or it might be related with the skills that they need, or it might be related with something else. Okay, so moving ahead, and we'll see like what are the main technical pillars when we talk about in terms of the cloud cost optimization. So start with the right sizing. So when I say right sizing, it's basically deals with the right sizing of the EC2 instance or the compute instance. So started with the selecting or picking up the right instance, looking at the resource that we are going to deploy and how we are going to use that particular resource. Are we going to run heavy lifted tasks over there? Are we going to run like the whole suppose the whole big data job, so that we can use the EMR cluster also, but inside the EMR cluster also we can choose various instance type, like we can start with the minimal, or we can go up with the we can go up with the very huge instance type according to our requirement. Okay, the second one would be the elasticity. So elasticity mainly deals with can we turn off the instance as per our need. So suppose if I am running one application in a virtual instance, okay, and I only want that application to run over the week. I don't want to run that application over the weekend. So is there any possible solution so that I can turn off that instance over the weekend? And if there is a possible solution out there, can I automate that particular solution? One way is like, okay, every night, or maybe like every Friday I can go and I can turn off the instance manually, but can I automate that? Is there a possibility around that? The third thing is the pricing model. So as we know, like there are various pricing models when we talk about the cloud, be it the AWS, Azure, or GCP. And that too, the pricing model, it comes specifically for the EC2 instance or specifically for the compute instance. When I say compute instance or the compute family, it talks about the EC2, Fargate, Lambda, and other compute related resources. And also when we say like the whole total cost of ownership, or the whole or basically when we are deciding the budget of our application, we are not going to deal only with the compute instance, right? It would be a combination of various different services, like the computer resource is only one of them. There would be storage that will be in the S3. Then there will be the data transfer cost also. Then when we talk about the monitoring, then there would be a cost for the CloudWatch, be it the CloudWatch metrics, be it the storing of the CloudWatch logs, or be it like if you are creating any alarms onto the CloudWatch so that it can act accordingly. Like if we are going with the auto scaling approach, then definitely it will act on the basis of any alarm metrics that we are going to create in the CloudWatch alarm. Next thing would be the storage class. Storage class that would come in two flavors. One would be the S3, that is our block level storage. Another would be that is basically the block level. Another would be the EBS, which we can attach to any of the EC2 instance on which our OS will run, and we can store few files. And it can be ephemeral. It can be EBS. It can be a private. It can be EFS also. So there are various different storage classes associated with S3, be it the normal, be it the Glacier, Deep Archive, or there is a new class S3 Intelligent Tiering. We can activate that also, and it will basically see the pattern of our objects that we are storing in our S3 bucket, and accordingly it can assign a few of the objects to different class. So if we are not using some particular objects, suppose since last month we have not touched that particular object, it can initially it can move on to the infrequent access, and gradually it can move on to the next level of hierarchy in the storage class, like the Glacier or the Glacier Deep Archive. And also we can create, if we are not going to use the intelligent tiering, we can create different lifecycle policy configuration accordingly, and we can define a lifecycle policy for each and every object, or maybe for different patterns or different that is basically related with the prefix, and inside that particular prefix it will apply onto every object. Then the next thing would come is the measurement mechanism. So right sizing, elasticity, pricing model storage is one thing, but how we are going to measure that particular cost, because if we are not going to measure, how we are going to prevent that? And more we prevent, more we save. That is the basic thumb of rule. Then the last pillar is the designing for cost. So earlier, when we as a developer or we as a builder or architect, we used to design the application, we used to think like the various concept, like what would be the disaster recovery, okay, how high available this particular application, what are the various security principles, how reliable this application is gonna be. But nowadays we need to consider the cost optimization also. So if you see the AWS well architect principle, AWS the cost optimization is one of the technical pillar inside that also. The reason they have put the cost optimization in well architect principle is because AWS has come up with various solutions regarding the cost that other builders, developers can adopt, and they can design their application according to that. We will talk about that in some slides that we are going to show. So don't worry about that. So elasticity. So elasticity, as we were discussing, it's more talks about the AWS auto scaling or the EC2 fleet, like how we can scale up or scale down as per our requirement. Like suppose if we're running one web application inside the virtual instances, and we do have a application load balancer in front of that. So according to the incoming traffic, it can be one of the metrics, or according to the CPU usage, or according to the memory usage, we can create the metric, and we can create the auto scaling policy. So that auto scaling policy will act onto our CloudWatch metric, be it the target metric or be it the step scaling metric, whatever uh, the metric principle we were going to use. But eventually what will happen, it will basically do auto scaling, scale down or scale up of the EC2 instance based on our usage or based on our metric principle. And also one way is the metric, or another way we can schedule that particular auto scaling policy. Like suppose during the Christmas break or during the Diwali break, if like people used to do shopping, people tend like to do shopping a lot. So maybe if you are from one of the retail client, then you can use the schedule auto scaling policy, so that during the Christmas break or at the starting of the Christmas break, Diwali holidays, you can scale up your EC2 fleet so that it would be ready to handle the whole. I mean, it would be ready to handle the whole high scaling traffic that might come during that break, and it will help you to increase the reliability of your application. Pricing model, as we were discussing, we can segregate into the three different categories: on demand, saving plans or reserve instance, or the spot instances. On demand is very simple. On demand is like pay as you go model. So I can go onto the AWS console, I can choose to create AWS EC2 instance. I can select the on demand, and there is a fixed charges according to the instance classes or the EBS volumes associated with that. And AWS is going to charge me as per my usage. If I am just like stopping that instance during the night and again starting up during the day, it will calculate my usage and it is going to charge me according to that. It's very simple, pay as you go. But saving plans or reserve instances is something. Okay, because suppose my application architecture is something like, okay, I need to run this particular application for next 1 year or maybe next 2, 3, 5 years. So what can I do? I can go to the AWS reserve instances. I can choose a specific instance type. Like suppose my application is the compute intensive application, I can choose the C4 family. If my application is memory intensive, I can choose the M4 or the R type of instance type family. And I can choose the reserve instance option. I can pay the whole cost upfront, or I can divide my cost like, okay, I'm going to pay only for 1 year at the upfront. So there would be some discounts. So AWS usually say like the 30 to 50% of the discounts compared to the on demand, and I can avail that discount and I can run my application onto that. Only I won't say drawback. Only thing that we need to consider is like it should be used for the committed or steady state usage, because we are going to pay a lot more cost at the upfront. Third category would be the spot instance. So AWS promises like, okay, they can give like 90% discount onto the on-demand prices. So spot instances are like, okay, they are like, various I would say various instances, like various different type of instance family, and AWS is not using that at the moment. So you can go to the EC2 instance spot instance option. You can bid a price onto a specific instance family, and if your bid matches, then you will get the instance. If someone else like bids on the same instance type, and it bids amount a bit higher than your bid amount, then you will get only a 2 minutes notification to stop that instance, because your instance is going to someone else who has bid a bit higher amount than yours. So it's mainly used for the fault tolerant or stateless workflow, but it is very good option if you are trying something new onto the AWS, or if you want to do a bit of POC or experimenting stuff onto the AWS. You can use this because it's a very cheap option. And nowadays, like spot instance are options available not only with AWS EC2. We can use with the container, like with the Fargate with spot instances also, and I think we can use it with the EMR. So it's a really good option if you want to pay less, and if you want to do some experiment. And once you're good with your application and how it is going to run, then eventually we can move on to the reserve instance or the on demand as per our application architecture or as per our use case. Storage class, as I mentioned, like hot, we can for the S3 we can divide down to the hot, warm, or the cold category. Hot would be a normal storage class where we are going to store the various objects, and we and our application are going to deal or basically going to access those objects probably daily, and if not daily, like maybe like with a gap of 2 or 3 days, but it would be like readily available for you, and you can access those objects really fast. There would not be a like huge lag when we want to access those objects. Warm category could be kind of infrequent access. So in S3, there would be a different lifecycle class infrequent access where we can store our objects that we are not going to access very frequently, but still it's not the like it's not something like okay it's going we are going to store these objects into a glacier or deep archive thing. But cold objects is like glacier, like archive solution. We don't worry about the like access speed. We just want these objects like the archival data of your company. Suppose you want to remove the archival data from your company on premises storage solution to the AWS storage solution, we can use the glacier or the glacier deep archive. It's very cheap to store those objects, but the retrieval time we are going to pay. There are various categories, like we can use the standard, we can use the expedite solution, but there would be a cost associated with that solution. So the idea is we don't want to access those objects very frequently. It's like only in a year or only in a quarter we are going to use those objects, but it would remain there if anywhere, like if maybe in future if you need to do some analytics on that, it would be readily available for us. With respect to the EBS, we do have different storage types, storage classes, like the IOPS SSD, general purpose, throughput optimized, cold HDD. So if we are going to have a use case where we want to run my application, or like a fairly simple application that do some processing, and I don't need like I don't like I don't need to have a very throughput optimized application, then I can use the general purpose. But if I have some application where I'm going to run a big data solution over that, then I can use the throughput optimized. So it's basically depending on our use case. So once you start using AWS EC2 instance, then as per your use case, you can choose. AWS provides you different solution, and you can like fairly detach one of the volume, one of the EBS disk, and you can attach some other EBS disk of different family with the EC2, and you can avail the functionality or the speed or the or the yeah or the or the functionality of those EBS disks associated with the EC2 instance. So now, as we've seen the various few pillars of the AWS cloud automation, but how we are going to deal with like various tools or technology where we can measure or where we can measure our cost, because I mean it's a funny meme, but we can quite relate to that. What happens like if we forget to turn over AWS instance during the night, then definitely we need to pay for that particular usage, though actually we are not using for that particular amount of time. So we can apply a different measure or mechanism principle in terms of on AWS onto different resources. Like we can analyze the spend by service, by account, by BU, or by various cost allocation tags. We can use the instance utilization metrics for the right sizing, be it the network throughput, be it the memory, be it the CPU, be it the disk utilization. We can use the peak versus peak on versus peak off cost and usage. It basically deals with the auto scaling part or the instance scheduler part. So the same thing, like if I don't need the instance during the night, can I turn off whenever like I need? Or the fourth one is the same that we discussed, like RI coverage, utilization, or spot usage. So the last pillar we discussed, shown at the start of our slide, is the designing for cost. So there are various best practices, or the various best practices when I talk in terms of architecture. So can I use those in my application when I am designing that application, or maybe like if I have built that application and I have seen my usage, the amount of data that is going to come, or the various improvement that I can now, like after some months of usage, can I improve my application? So it talks more on that. So first thing is like, is there any possibility, like can I introduce the EC2 spot? Because EC2 spot is like nowadays, like many folks are using EC2 spot. And when I talk EC2, it's not something like I need to use EC2 spot as the, like as a complete solution. I can mix up, like I can use the reserve instance for the very critical part of the application. I can use the on demand for fairly, like for critical but not that much critical. And I can use the EC2 spot for that part of microservice where it doesn't matter, like it can go down, it doesn't matter. I can wait maybe for next day, or maybe for like few hours to come up, and it doesn't harm any client, or it doesn't harm my revenue. Okay, so second thing is, can I go serverless using my application? Can I adopt the Lambda? Can I adopt the Fargate, or can I adopt the container solution? Third one is the unused elastic IP. So this is something like it quite hurts if I have create one elastic IP and it is not associated with any of the EC2 instance. So it is going to, like AWS is going to charge me for that, and it really hurts. Like if we are not using, still I'm paying. So one should remember to disassociate the elastic IP. The next one would be the CloudFront. Is there any possibility if I can adopt the CloudFront solution, because it will provide a very low compute and the caching facility. Also the containerization. So nowadays, like I think almost everything we in every application, I think we can adopt containerization. You can make that application to compatible and work with the container solution. Because I mean, the whole concept of container was, okay, build once, run everywhere. It's a platform independent. I can run on the container solution on AWS. I can run on the container solution on OpenShift. I can run on the container solution on Azure. It doesn't matter. It only matters how I am building my application and various dependent packages along with the versions. So AWS also provide various different flavors of container. The first one is the ECS. Second one is the it comes in the under the ECS, but it is the more of the serverless solution for the container that we call as a Fargate. Third one is the Kubernetes version of container solution, that is basically the EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services. Okay, so the next thing is the manage RDS, or I would say manage database services. So suppose if I am building my application and I need to use the databases, and right now I am managing and I'm installing, I'm configuring that particular database on a separate virtual machine. So instead of that, I recommend, and various other experts also recommend, to go with the manage database solution, be it the manage MySQL or the manage uh, Postgres, or if you want to go with the Amazon version of database like the Aurora, be it the on-demand or the serverless solution. And also if you want to go with the NoSQL version of the database, you can choose the DynamoDB. The because managed services comes with lots of improvement, or lots of it basically removes all the heavy lifting tasks that developer needs to do, like the backup, okay, restore, high availability, availability, durability. So we don't need to worry about all those things. We just need to launch the RDS cluster, and the next thing is like we need to build our application, and we just need to worry about how our schema would be inside the managed RDS solution. We don't need to worry about all the heavy lifting tasks. So I strongly recommend if we are going to deal with the database services, we should adopt the managed database services provided by the AWS. Next is the AWS organization, basically the consolidated billing provided by the AWS organization. So if we are working with any client and we are going to have different AWS accounts, so the best thing is like we can use the AWS organization to organize all those accounts under one root. Like there would be only a one master account, one payer master account, and all the other account would be the member account. So benefits that we got from the AWS organization is we can provide or we can configure the guardrail like the preventative control or using the service control policy or at the AWS organization level, and it will apply to every other accounts, basically all every other child account in the AWS organization. And also we can enable the option of the consolidated billing so that only the payer account, the master account, is going to pay for every other AWS accounts. And all the AWS account doesn't need to set up the credit cards and all those details. Only the payer account is responsible for paying out all the charges with respect to the different AWS accounts. Though we can definitely create various monitoring solution like various monitoring solution using the AWS budget or AWS Cloud Cost Explorer or AWS Billing Dashboard for each respective AWS account. But the main thing is like only the payer account needs to would be act only the master account would act as a payer account, not all the individual AWS accounts. Next thing would be the cloud formation. So suppose okay, so can we use the infrastructure as a code solution? Because what will happen, suppose if you are building one application today, that will involve the infra part and also the actual your application part. And suppose some bad happens with your infra or some bad happens with your whole region, then you need to create the exact replica onto somewhere else, like maybe some different region or some different account. So the best thing is like, okay, I can create the AWS cloud formation, that is AWS infrastructure as a cloud, or we can adopt various different third-party solutions. Like we can use the Terraform, we can use the Troposphere, we can use the Ansible also, and we can create a full set of recipe, like how our infrastructure would look like, what all different components it will use. So suppose if I am launching the EC2 machine, so what are all the subnets it is going to use, what are all the security group it is going to use. So we can write all those instructions in a YAML or JSON file, and maybe at the later point of time, if I need an exact replica of our current application, like current infrastructure application, I can use the same cloud formation, and I can create the exact replica of my infra application in maybe in some other account or maybe in some different region in the same account. So it makes developer life easier. Also, the last but not the least is the S3 lifecycle processing. So many times what happens if we are going to store the every possible objects into the S3 standard class, and that is the normal class that initially, like everyone, if we are going on the S3 console, if we are creating an S3 object, the basic class that comes up by default is the standard class. So if you are storing like a lot of different objects onto the standard class, and we are not using those objects that like frequently. So basically we are paying for those particular objects like as a storage wise, and also like when we are going to retrieve that, because everything that comes into the AWS is free. While retrieving that, AWS is going to charge us. but definitely we are going to pay for the storage purpose also. So is there any possibility if you can create a life cycle transition of those objects? Suppose if you are not going to, maybe like, if I'm going to put the object today, maybe like after 2 months, after 60 days, I can put it into the infrequent access, and maybe like after 6 months, I can put it to the glacier, and maybe after 1 year, I don't want this object. I mean, the purpose of that object has been fulfilled, so I can delete those objects also. So the whole cost optimization process revolves around, initially we are building some solution, and once we build, if we are running on any of the compute, be it EC2, Fargate or Lambda, then we can see the pattern, usage pattern, how AWS is charging us on the basis of our infra or the application, whatever we are running. Then we can measure that particular usage or the cost pattern. We can act accordingly. We can re-architect our application. We can adopt various best practices that we just seen, and we can re-architect. We can adopt, suppose the serverless concept. We can adopt, suppose, the containerization concept, and we can again like build our application according to that. And maybe like, after again 2-3 months, we can see the usage pattern. Okay, still my like, my costing or my billing thing is not up to mark, or maybe suppose, can I use few of the recommendation that AWS provides via the Cost Explorer, like the saving plans or reserve instances, and what would be the forecast for the next few months? We can also see that in the Cost Explorer. I'll show you in the next few slides. So can we do that? If yes, then it would be really good for you and also for the customers. Okay, so now we talk about the different tools that can establish the cost visibility, because we know good intention don't work in real world, but yes, cost control mechanism do. And that's a funny man. So when we got our AWS bill, a lot of time, like, we are still not confident. Okay, why like AWS is charging us that much? What, against which service we are paying too much, or against which service we can improve, or maybe like, we can go with the different saving plans. We can go with the maybe we can change our compute usage to the reserve instance, or maybe spot, or maybe we are paying for any services that we are not even using, like the unused elastic IP, or like, suppose we started one Redshift cluster just for the testing or experimenting stuff, and we forgot to turn it off. So how we can identify, suppose we have not created any monitoring solution onto that, then at the end of the month, how we can able to identify, okay, am I paying for something that I'm not using? So we can get that information from the AWS web. We will see it now. So yes, so how we are going to monitor our workloads? So we can set up various metrics, and we can track our progress according to that, and we can use the AWS Billing Dashboard for that. I will quickly show you AWS Billing Dashboard, how it looks like. Just give me a moment. Uh, Yep, so this is the AWS Billing Dashboard. You can go, let's search the billing. You can go to see the AWS Billing Dashboard and my current month spending, and I can see my previous month, last month spending also, and I can see the forecast also. And if we go over the bills option, I can choose the month, March, January, February, and this is the actual cost. And now I can see the exact cost against the service, like which service is costing me how much. And suppose I selected the Elastic Compute Cloud. In that I can see against which region I am using this particular service. So here I am using the EC2 instance in the Sydney region the most. And I also started few of the instances in US East Ohio region. So I can see my cost in the AWS Billing Dashboard under the bill section. Similarly, I use relational databases also, so I can see the cost here. Now I will show you various different options in the billing dashboard. Like, yep, I can go on to the budget. So we can create a budget. We can apply the monitoring on that budget, and so that, like, we can set, okay, I'm setting the budget of $100 for the whole month, or maybe for the week. And once the 80% of that allocated budget hits, I will be notified, so that I can check, maybe, like, suppose my whole month budget is 400. Okay, so what I can do, I can set up one budget for the month, the $400, and I can set up the various other budgets, monitoring stuff for the weekly, like $100. And suppose for the first week, once I hit the, suppose the threshold is the 80%. Once I hit the $80, I'll be notified, and I can check, and I can come onto the AWS Billing Dashboard under the bill section. I can see what are all the various services I'm using. And if someone else from my team is using some other services that I am not aware of, then probably I can ask that person, okay, I can see you are using this service, so is there any valid reason for that? Or if you are doing some experimenting stuff, because if you are doing some experimenting stuff, maybe I can give a separate AWS account to that guy. Or maybe, is there any possibility, like, we can postpone the experiment stuff to next month, where we can set the budget to a bit higher amount. So yeah, I can search I can select the period: monthly, quarterly, daily, annually. Recurring budget start month also we can select, and I can choose the option of fixed amount or the monthly budget planning for the whole year. I can set it out. For fixed amount, suppose if I'm selecting the $100. Now under the next option, I can select the threshold. Suppose 70%. Okay. I can now set up my email ID to be notified once it hits the threshold, that is the $70. I will be notified accordingly. So what yeah. So what I can possibly do is, like, okay, suppose if I'm handling various other AWS accounts under the AWS organization, and suppose I am the master account, I'm the owner of the master account. I can set up various different budget according to the various different accounts. Like, suppose if I'm giving one dedicated AWS account to senior developer, I can probably set up a bit higher budget. But if I'm suppose giving account to one uh, graduate or fresher guy, then I can keep the budget to like the $40-50. And and suppose if he needs, or if he or she needs some more budget, and there is a valid reason for that, I can increase that particular amount from here. Now the next interesting thing is the Cost Explorer, because this is the next topic. Uh, in our slide also. Let me see. Yeah, let me open that. Okay, yeah, this is a cost explorer. So a billing dashboard basically shows us how much we are paying against the service. But cost explorer is a very interesting service. We can create various dashboard here, and that particular dashboard we can see just a sec. Yeah, we can group by using different. Just a sec. Let me set it up for month of March. Yeah, now I can group by the whole costing according to the region. So here you can see the Sydney region and the Ohio region group by on the cost chart. I can use the instance type also. So see, because I was using the DB instance the most, so AWS shows me okay, you paid for the RDS instance type the most, and how much is the exact amount that I'm paying. It can show me here for the March month. I paid this much for R3 because I set it up for some experiment stuff. It shows me how much it will charge me for the R3 and for basically the whole different ECG instance type. For the usage type also, it can show me. There are other various categories. So I can use various other filter conditions here also. Like suppose we want to see the cloud related cost. Okay, I can apply that filter. It's going to show me with respect to that. And I can also create my new report. So AWS, I can like create new reports. I can save that report to my local. I can share it with the other folks also. And also if I go on to the Cost Explorer, I can see various right sizing recommendation that a Cost Explorer provides. So I'm as of now, because I have stopped down all the EC2 instances, so it is not showing me. Otherwise, it will show me okay. This is the particular recommendation. Suppose if I'm using one of the on-demand instance, suppose from the R3 family, suppose for the whole month, so it can show me some recommendation. Okay, you can go with the reserve instance option or saving plans option, and you can select this particular reserve instance or saving plan option. So you only need to pay some amount upfront, though I mean definitely it would be more than the month amount, but over the longer run it is going to save me a whole lot of dollars. Similarly in the recommendation section also, purchase saving plans also, I can choose the saving plans with the compute saving plan or the EC2 instance saving plan. Compute saving plans, it will consolidate the whole compute family, the Fargate, Lambda and everything. But the instance saving plan would be related with the EC2 instance saving plans primarily. Okay, now moving back to the slides. So yeah, we covered the billing ratio cost explorer. Yeah, so there is at the end I can show you some of the checklist. So the first point of the checklist is okay, turn off all the unused instances that we don't want to have or that we maybe forgot to turn off. Stop paying for the ideal EC2 or RDS instance or Redshift cluster or be it any resource. delete all the unused or orphan volumes. I'm talking about here basically the EBS volumes, and also the snapshot. If we don't want these snapshot to be stored, then we can delete those also. Then the next section of the checklist would be more about the cost explorer or the billing thing, like understand and forecast your cost using the cost explorer and budget. Choose the right EC2 instance type like spot, reserve instance, cost saving plans. The next section would be, okay, can you do the whole, can you do automate like almost everything, like the instance start and stop cycle, or maybe instance and you can use the infrastructure, can you use the infrastructure as code, be it the cloud formation, Terraform, Ansible, or any other stuff. Then the last section, okay, can you embrace all the latest trends or learning or the best practice happening in the industry, like the adopting the microservice architecture, or adopting containerization, or the adopting the serverless solution? Can you enable the S3 intelligent tiering? Can you apply the S3 lifecycle configuration? Can you modernize your application by using various AWS managed services and the serverless solutions? And in the end, there are a few latest trends that basically launched around the reinvent or in the actual reinvent, like the and it's more or less related with the cost saving or cost optimization thing only. Like for AWS, now AWS has decreased the billing granularity for the AWS Lambda. So earlier it was the 100 millisecond, now they have reduced to the 1 millisecond. The next thing is they AWS introduced a new GP3 volume of the EBS family and provides up to 20% lower price point per GB than existing GB2 volumes. So probably you can try out maybe next time when you're going to launch EC2 instance for some experimenting stuff. Maybe you can try to select the GB3 instead of GB2. Then the third one is the AWS EMR. Now we can use the EKS to run the AWS EMR, that is the Elastic MapReduce for the big data solution. We can use EKS. That is a really good option. And in the end, AWS Lambda also have a container image support. So earlier you need to provide the whole our code, be it in the zip format or be it in different package format. But now we can provide the container image also to the Lambda, just like we are providing the container images to the ECS and EKS. So yes, that was the session, guys. Thank you so much, folks. Dipali, over to you for the quiz.
Sure, thanks, Siddesh. And before quiz, there are a few questions if you would like to take them first. So the first question here I can see how we can reduce the lambda cold start when we are using Java, or how to optimize the cold start.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So with the cold start, I mean there are few things that AWS suggests. One would be the execution context, like if you are declaring various things, like if you are declaring, if you want to connect to some databases, or like those kind of things, we can use the execution context that is outside the Lambda handler. We can declare that. And also, suppose if our Java application, or be it the every other application, suppose it needs to talk to the DB, we can use a DB proxy thing, so that it will create a connection pooling, and we can use that to talk with the DB. So instead of creating connection every time, we can use that. Other than that, with respect to the Java, I mean, I have not frankly, I have not used Java with the Lambda. I have most of the time I've used Python. But yes, yeah, I mean, I can think of these two options as of now. But yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, I also need to dig a bit deeper with respect to the Java, how we can avoid the cold start.
Yeah, just to add on, there are like configuration in Lambda itself for to keep it warm, and you can also like achieve means the functionality where your function needs some heartbeat, so you can also use the step functions for implementing the similar things. So these are the like workarounds to
Yeah,
implement
we
this
can,
to
yeah. Also,
keep
we
the
can
lambda
use
bound.
maybe if you don't want to provide various like whole lot of requests to the Lambda, we can like use the SQS just to decouple a few of the things.
Yeah. Okay, next question is, if I want to create a portal for tracking and saving my team's daily activities, input form entries, which will be a better option to go with, serverless or EC2?
Okay, if you want to create a board for tracking, saving my team daily activities. So when you say daily activities, I think you are more talking about like how your team is interacting with the AWS, probably via console, via API, or like via any other means. So if that is your question, you can definitely go with the serverless. And if you want to track like how like your team interacting with AWS, you can build your solution using the, suppose if you are going with the Python, then you can create this Lambda serverless as using the Python, and you can use the AWS Boto to track with the cloud trail. You can find out the various activities that your team is doing, be it from their username or be it from different AWS role. You can list down all those activity, and in the end you can mail, you can use the SNS to notify others or yourself, like okay, this was the whole activity. And maybe like if you want to share that particular, suppose if you noted down all the activities, you can create an Excel, you can dump it to S3, and in the SNS you can say okay, just check this S3, the activities has been stored. And after that you can like go to your teammates if he is basically trying to access some other services that is not allowed to access. So yeah, I mean, yeah, serverless is the good option to go for that.
Yeah. And next question we have is like, what is the common migration strategy?
That is a very broad question. So I would suggest you can check it out, white paper written by AWS on that. So they basically suggest the migration using the six. I mean, they have when we talk about the migration, so we can think of okay, the first thing that comes into mind is okay, do you want to migrate the data or do you want to migrate the apps? So and also when you want to migrate the data, so is it like what is the total amount of data? Suppose it is in the petabyte or it's in the like in the whole terabytes, then we can use the AWS Snow family, like the uh, we can use that. Otherwise, there are various different solutions for data to transfer, like AWS SFTP. We are actually using AWS SFTP as of now in one of my projects. Or we can use AWS data sinks. Suppose if you want to migrate the database, there is a service to migrate a whole database, and we can use the table schema conversion tool like along with that. But if you want to migrate the application, then there are like various aspects around that. Like, do you just need to like rehost the whole server or rehost the whole application, or you want to re-architect the application, or do you want to like replace few of the component, like you want to just migrate the whole application onto the cloud and want to replace the suppose database solution with the managed services like the managed RDS, then you can use that also. But yeah, I mean, the common migration strategy, there is no common migration strategy as such. It's based on the use case that you are looking.
Yeah, rightly said. And the last question we have in our queue is that I'm using Lambda and using RDS proxy. It takes 2 seconds to get response from database. Is there we can reduce this?
Okay, 2 seconds to get response from DB. Is there we can reduce this? So I think we need to understand just like just directly going to resolve the question, we need to understand. So are they both in the same region? Okay, are there any like there is any transfer lag in between them, or is you or maybe like, is your what you're requesting, the data that you're requesting is huge. So I think we need to think around that. I mean, I can't answer directly from here. Or maybe have you studied about have you seen the CloudWatch logs when you are making that connection using the RDS proxy? So I
Yeah, I
think
think
we
more
need to
information
consider,
is
yeah,
needed. Yeah.
we need to
So
consider like, whole lot of parameter
yeah,
around
we need
that.
to understand the ecosystem, that how this
Right,
particular thing is being used, and only then we can like make some
right.
decision or can try out some options. So
But yes,
maybe
definitely there are some options. But yeah, before that,
yeah,
we need to.
yeah, Komal. So I think we need like more information around this. So maybe you can discuss this offline, uh, where you can share the more details around the problem statement. All right. So with that, we have covered, I guess, all the questions, and now this is the time for a quiz. So let me share my screen and start the quiz. Just give me a moment. So you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can.
Great. So guys, this is the pin. So you need to join this www.kahoot.it, and from any device you can do this, either mobile or laptop, whatever you're using, and then enter this game pin 1527048 to join this quiz. So I'm just waiting for 2 minutes so you guys can join. Come on, guys, be a little fast. Yeah, I can see just one person so far, Guru, Harpreet. Great, thanks for joining. Now I can see Priyanka as well on the dashboard. There's few more seconds in interest of time. Please join fast. Thanks, Ruchi. Okay, last 20 seconds. Please join fast. It's going to be interesting. There is nothing to lose. Thanks, Komal. Okay, so last 10 seconds now. Great, Shiva. Okay, so I'm going to start it now. So as of now, we have only 6 participants. So let's start. So you will be able to see the question at my screen only. So what is the duration of billing granularity for Lambda function? Is it per hour, per minute, per second, or per millisecond? And 20 seconds to answer every question. Okay, so we got only one correct answer and three wrong answers. And what happened to other two players? Why could not you respond to anything? So you will be able to see question at my screen, and you need to pick the colored image at your screen to answer. So you need to match that exactly which color is matching with the answer, and that you need to take at your device team. All right. So Yogesh, would you like to talk about this question or this concept?
Yeah, yeah. So I think I mentioned in one of my slides also. So AWS basically charge lambda by per millisecond basis. So initially, like I think it was 100 millisecond, but from this latest reinvent, December 2020, they have reduced it to it up to 1 millisecond now. So yes, I think yeah, we got only one correct answer, but that's fine.
Yeah, and for the clients who are like using the serverless applications, this has really benefited them in their bills. So it has reduced the cost quite a lot with the by using the per millisecond billings of Lambda. Okay, moving on to the next question. And just for your information, we have total 5 questions in this quiz. So moving on to the second question. So Suruchi is on the leaders board. She is leading after first question. So here you need to answer in true or false that we can use spot instances for stateless workloads. Is it true or false? We can use spot instances for stateless workloads. Okay, great. We got 3 correct answers. So I think we don't need any more discussion on this because Yogesh covered it like pretty quite detailed that yes, spot instances are very good to use for the stateless workloads or when we need like better optimal cost basically. Yogesh, do you want to add anything onto this or we good to move on?
No, I think you rightly said, and I think we covered a lot. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's default tolerant. We don't want our critical application to run on spot instances, but yeah, stateless definitely.
sure. So after the second question, this leaderboard is looking like this. And just for information, like these points are based on correct answer plus timing. So whosoever gives like first correct answer get the maximum points. Data transfer charges applicable to only inter-region transfer, only service to the internet, which is free in between AZs, services to the internet, but also in between AZs and no charges. Oh, come on. We didn't get any answer at all. So, Yogesh, would you like to discuss on this concept?
Yes. So with respect to the data transfer, it's an interesting concept. So many times, like if you see your bills also, it might happen like you won't understand the data transfer fully. So the thumb rule is whatever comes inside the AWS is free, but whatever comes out from the AWS, like whatever goes out to the from the AWS, it's AWS is going to charge us. So one thing is definitely like whatever is going out to the internet, but also if you see the AWS data transfer cost on their official page, you can see whenever like we the data is transferring in between the AWS availability zones, AWS is going to charge us for that. So obviously, like if you're going to charge for AWS data transfer in between AZs, then definitely they are going to charge the data transfer between AWS region also. So I would recommend if you can, the exact cost I don't remember. I mean, nobody has to remember the exact cost. You can check out on their official page. But yes, whenever like you are designing your application for the disaster recovery, definitely you need to use the different AZs and different region. But the thing that you need to remember is there would be a cost once the data is transferred between the AZs or between the regions.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the second last question now. Okay, before that, glimpse on the scoreboard. So, AWS organization is offered at no additional charge. Is it true or false? Do we need to pay anything extra to use AWS organization? Great, we got three correct answers. So as you got it right, means there are a couple of services for which you don't really need to pay any charges. For example, organization, IAM. So these are the services you can just use it, but you will not be charged anything additional for these services. Okay. So after four questions, Harpreet is leading the scoreboard. And here comes the last question. Which is not a pillar of well-architected framework? Is it operational excellence, cost optimization, security, or high availability? Great, two of you got it correct. So just to recall, there are like five pillars in this well-architected framework. First one is operational excellence, second one is security, then reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. There is no pillar called as high availability. Okay, let's see who is there on the podium. Suruchi, you have got third rank. Harpreet, you have got the second rank. And Komal, you are on the first position as you got 3 out of 5 questions correct. Great. Congratulations, guys. I hope you learned something out of today's session. So, Komal, may I request you to please share your email ID in the comment section so we can share the coupon code with you on your email. Komal, can I have the email ID, please, before we wrap up the session? Meanwhile, if you have any other question, you can uh, share it on the comment box. But later, if you get any question, please feel free to post it, and you can connect us on the LinkedIn as well. So Yogesh and myself, we will definitely respond to your queries. Thanks, Komal. I got your email ID, and I will share the like AWS credits coupon code with you on the email. Thank you, guys. Yogesh, would you like to say any last words?
No, I would like to say thank you to you, Dipali, for giving me the opportunity, and thank you to all the listeners. So, yep,
But
I think
Yogesh,
we can.
thanks to you. Sorry to thanks to you. You are like really sharing your knowledge in such late hours because Yogesh is currently in Sydney and it is really late for him. So thank you, Yogesh, for this session. And yeah, thank you so much for giving us a like a
And
consolidated
then
and summarized and best practices for the cost optimization.
that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep learning.
Thanks. All right.